Okay, people, so it's a pleasure to be here again. I'm gonna try to be quick. I'm not gonna take forever, and I want to make this together with you. Okay, so let's build the presentation, and you are seeing the full screen, yes? Because I have two screens. And let's be together here. I've introduced myself, so I'm gonna take very long here, but I am the academic designer from our bilingual program here. So, and me and Elizabeth, as she said, we have been in Greek since the beginning, since 2016. So we piloted the first group here, and I've been part of it. I was the trainer, the national trainer from US history in 2018, 2019. And after the pandemic, the training changed. But I had this amazing opportunity to go to Limeira, to the campus. It was a nice experience to be there. So my idea here is that we have our students. Sometimes it's very challenging. So I believe some of you mentioned about like teaching history, teaching US government. It's something new for us many times. I have a degree in history, but when I first started teaching here, I had to study a lot. Lots of have my notes to teach the program. But the main idea, they are building it. If you don't know that much about the topic, that's okay, because we are not here teaching only content. It's content and CLIO, yes, content and language integrated learning. We have like a broader view of our students. We want to develop, as Monsieur mentioned here, a lot of critical thinking, producing, preparing. So don't go like not over preparing, but over producing materials and over speaking and delivering everything. You are there to guide them through this content, through this new environment, these ideas, to debate different things that sometimes they don't do in school, but they know a lot. They bring a lot from the regular classes. They bring a lot from especially US history. I'm going to talk more about US history. They have studied in school. They know topics. You can use a lot of current things happening. I was teaching when the US elections happened, so I use the US uh, elections here now, so you can debate that and you have space in the schedule. You have a schedule to follow, but you are able to adapt that and find ways to produce. So here are language production. So they have the reading, the book, the summaries, the review. Listening, there is an audio resource on the book. You can play the listening. It's important that you also work with listening. There are videos, teacher, classmates, they speakings, they have presentations, recordings, and writings. Okay, so they need to produce, and then we think, okay, but how? My idea, I have the slides are going to be available for you. I don't think we will have time to go over all the activities because I changed. I have one from the previous training from 2019 that I share lots of things I did my students back then. But here, my idea was to get the video because we have a recorded class, and then someone from Greeks observed the class, and then we discuss, and then we talk about the class. And I got here snaps of the videos from the parts that Oru, which is from literature, he observed my class, and then we had a feedback session, and having his feedback in mind, I got the snaps of the class to play the video here and share. What we are going to do, we're going to do it step by step. I play a snap, and then we discuss. Okay, I want you to think why he has pointed out good aspects of this part of the class, because I just got his notes. Okay, I went to the minutes that he took the notes, and after we discussed it, and then we can discuss some ideas here. I'm gonna play here. Let me just, I believe we should share computer sound. Let me know if the audio is okay. Sometimes what students say, you can hear very well because like the microphones and recording the class, but try to think about the idea. And there is snaps not that long, okay? That's the beginning of the class, and it's in the order what it happened in class. By doing that, I want to show you not only the activities, but the rationale of a class, okay, of a 1 hour class here. Tell me, what was new for you when you started teaching the most?
Yeah.
What is it?
The teacher that we have.
The culture, what is more specific about something that got your attention that you didn't know?
I didn't know much about the culture, like the divided in kingdom.
The culture. Okay, people, now I need you to open your mics and tell me what's happening here. What's interesting at this part of the class?
When you sit with them, it's like you're one of them. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So what Elizabeth said about SEL, yeah, SEL. I think that's what you're doing. You're connecting with them, and then what matters for you, in this case, the content, the government, US government, matters to them because they care about you, not about your emotional life and that kind of stuff. But you know what I mean, right?
Sure, there's the point. Two things here, and you mentioned both of them. I'm next to them, I'm close to them, so I'm near, so that shows there's a rapport. So I have this connection with them, and can be sell, but there is also another, no, okay. That's BICS, that's basic interpersonal communication. That can be feelings, everything, but I asked their opinion. Why was it important for you? Why? What makes you say that? And a very nice question to ask is, what makes you say that? So it was important to listen to them. And it's funny because they are quiet. They were only 4 students this semester, and they were quiet, but they talked a lot, asking proper questions. I believe that we teachers, we need to go not only that's hots and lots from the lots questions, but we have to ask hot questions. Ask them to develop their ideas and show a bit more about them. So that in the beginning of the class, I asked her, I said, just a snap of it, but everyone talked. We were talking about a content, okay? But then I asked them what was important for them. What's your opinion about that? What made you think that? And then we are sharing. So we go for this interpersonal communication, BICS, social emotional learning. They need to feel they have a voice. Most of our students, they come from these regular teaching, regular classes with like 40 students that many times they're too passive. There's just the teacher there, like telling the things, lecturing them. And then here we try to make them think, they speak, they have a voice, they have a saying. And it takes a while to have them in that mood, but they really do it after a while. Any other comments about this part that you do with your students? It's a moment to share something that you like doing with yours.
Yeah, for me, it makes a lot of sense. Actually, it doesn't make sense for me whenever people say like, oh, you have a good rapport with your students or something like that. Because I think that's the basics, right? If you don't have a rapport with your students, how come you're teaching them, right? So I think that especially whenever we get into terms or we start talking about politics or government or even history or something like that, it's something that is so intricate to our personal lives and something, the way that we navigate the world, that I think that it's quite weird to think about teachers that only come to class and they don't really ask about their students, and most importantly, that they don't remember what their student said, or they don't really care. They're asking just like to fill in an agenda, right? So as a Gemini that I am, I'm always like really open, and I am always like really want to learn with my students, right? So I really do think that's important, and I couldn't see or I couldn't really understand a classroom otherwise, you know? So
I totally agree, and it's not a waste of time. Sometimes some teachers are too focused on the schedule, but I'm going to be late on the schedule. But I said that's not the way. You're building that. So if you build a nice, if you have a nice relationship with your students, if they are there, if they trust you, if they are with you, actually you're going to save time later, and they're going to produce. You're not wasting. Okay, you are building rapport. Yes, I totally agree with you, Juan. That's it. I can't see class without that. So let's go on. I have like, I believe 6 or 7 snaps. And then let's go. What big issues? So,
Art and agree with
and then here we go back to that, right? That's the main issues. What are the main issues about that? The representation also. Everything in, yes, the constitution, with the north and south difference. Representation is a big issue when it comes to constitution. What's very different from the US, from all the other countries in the world, not always. Yes, the republic, right? All the others, not all, but most of the others were kingdoms, and with the kings. It was equal to get a republic, and then big states, small states, number of population, do enslaved people count, we do not. So these big issues about the countries to write the constitution. And what comes there, that's very important, that the first constitution that was not there, and there is 10 points. You said here. The Bill of Rights, right? What comes with the Bill of Rights? What's the main topics of the Bill of Rights? Rights of citizens. So the people, the rights, what they can do. So the Constitution didn't mention, and the bill comes with that idea. Okay, we are coming to the end of our timeline. What comes next?
When is supposed to be independence?
I put in the pen. In the pen. Very good. Thank you. Yes. And I'm not hungry. I ate well too. Yes. And what's module 6 about? We had a quiz there. Yes, that's true. Okay, so please, someone. What caught your attention in this snap? Please. No?
I beg your pardon, but should we have heard? Because for me, the sound is really low. Like if we are to pay attention to what you're saying, I'm having a hard time.
In my computer, it's okay. The sound is playing. It's not. I can hear it, so I don't know.
Maybe it's my problem.
But okay, so what the points that were pointed out at this moment, and is that building prior knowledge. Because this class, in this class I started, we made like a timeline, and then we all just reviewing things we had seen before that point. But it's building on prior knowledge and using the board. So as they were talking, I was writing on the board. It was always this interaction with me and them, not only me writing on the board, telling them things and just lecturing them. We were there building together this timeline. I asked questions and they answered. And with their answers, I wrote on the board. And we are all the time exchanging this information. So what Oro pointed here was like the great use of the board as a reference and this building prior knowledge. They know a lot, people. They come from schools. They have seen this stuff. And I have the privilege of teaching after Elizabeth. So she does the hard work in the first part of the year. And then they know it when they come to history. They have already seen the topics in US government and their regular schools. So it's easier for me to build on, especially the beginning, especially what's really related to the Constitution and to US government. But that's it. Use the board. The boards are alive. You don't need just a slide, but build with them. That's what I'm trying to, my message here is that it's not you lecturing. We are building together. So build the board, build word training, and use visual reference. So I even used different colors, only 3 markers, but I pointed out it was black, red, and blue that also help us to visualize. Pay attention on how you are going to use your visual aids. If it's not too colorful, but not too plain, balance color, develop that also with your students. Let them what they like. I have had many different groups since 2016, and they were different. The classes were very different because they liked different things. I had a group that loved like playing Disney songs while they were producing. This group didn't like it. They were like just their headphones. So listen to your students, use and play with the visual aid. Okay. Now it's a nice one related to content and language. Let's see, try to listen, okay? If you're not listening, I don't know what to do, but because I put even when I recorded it, the volume is very high.
I put my volume up. I think it will be
Okay.
all right now. I think the problem was on my computer.
Okay. In reform, it's a good match for you to be careful. For example, you have just moved house, yes? Did you have to change anything in your house? Can you call it reform? No. How do you call it?
I was waiting.
No. It's a false cognitive. The renovation. So you renovate your house, you don't reform. Reform, we talk about that. You reform ideas, okay? Not physical things. That's the idea of reforms. Okay? What are the big topics that normally? What happened here?
You're using a word in different contexts so they can relate to the word.
Yeah, we
The
can't
word
forget.
collocation, right? Too.
Yes. We can't forget language. Okay, we are on content, but we need to build their language. And here it was a moment that popped up. We know that we Brazilians, reform is the same for reforma. Yeah, so I know they would think that it's reform. So I use the moment of talking about the reforms in the US to introduce that, to ask them, even like Cadu said, yes, you can do that. No. So it was a moment that this word popped up in class, and I used the moment to explore language. And in reform, in this specific case, was a word in context, but explore those moments of language. Not only because sometimes the thing about language would be like teaching grammar, going to the board and having grammar exercise. That's not it. It appears, use the feedback. I use a lot language when I'm giving them feedback. After they present, and then I check especially areas that I believe they have to improve. And then we go deep, we stop the class. You can go even for a grammar point. I worked the other day the difference of present perfect, past perfect, and past simple. Work with them. You don't need a grammar class. That's not it. But it's using the language of the moment to explore this language idea, to develop that. My feedback on their writings is a lot on that. I had a group that we even worked together because they were, for us, it was a big group. I had 16 students, and many common mistakes. I prepared some ideas, and they prepared, while we were talking about the mistakes I had on the board, they prepared a PowerPoint, Google Slides. Okay, while I was writing on the board, and they had the slides, so then it was there for them to check lots of grammar points, vocabulary, collocations. Explore your knowledge that you have about the language. Know that. I knew it. When I prepared the class, I knew that reform would be a nice moment. And then I use this moment in class. But sometimes they just happen, okay? We don't plan, but you see it. You say that they make the same mistakes. Stop the class, go over. Don't expose your students. Like, say, you have done that, you have said that. But use this language that I like dogma. So language arises from the class. Yes, it comes from them. So when it comes, use that to help them and guide them. They need those guidance. Even the difference of being fluent and being accurate. Most of them, especially in our situation, they are very fluent, but many times they're not accurate. and then we can help them. We must help them in that. Okay. Another one. Religious reform. Okay. And when you talk about social, you also mention about rights, right? In both labor. Before we go on, okay. That's what we want to do too. 2 to 3 minutes. I want you to think about things that lead a society to need a reform. Why those things happen? Okay, why the reforms happen? This social. Think about this context. Okay, you can think about also today, but what happens? Why? What's the reason for people to look for and to try to do, to perform? Okay. Please join me, help me. Well, what do you see here? What do you find that's interesting, that was important? It's okay, you have to talk. Okay, Julie, you can talk one also. Again, no problem.
Yeah, I was about to say that, like, oh, guys, I'm speaking too much. Please, someone. So what I see is that from the beginning you were getting their previous knowledge to build on something, and then you got this grammar, not grammar, just vocabulary moment, and now you're getting back to them like, now that you got this, you understand what is reform. What do you think from this new knowledge I'm giving to you? Like you're like playing tennis with them.
Anyone else want to share, mention? But please help me, okay? So don't leave me alone. That there's a critical thinking here. We built from prior knowledge. We built a timeline on the board, so they were already warmed up. They know that they were contextualized. They were aware. So okay, we build awareness, and then okay, what comes from you? Let's go for this critical thinking. You know this structure, this scaffolding, yes? We have come up to here. What next? Not just coming here and giving them the next contact or making them produce something, but trying, building up and giving room a moment that they have to analyze. We have to go for HOTS. That's HOTS here, high order thinking skills. They are gonna build, okay, I ask the questions. What's your idea? Why do you think a society goes on a reform? What leads? What happens? What comes from that? So they are building that, not only by content, but analyzing and being able to develop this skill of questioning, guessing, trying. Many times they give me answers here that they don't know, but they try, okay, to develop this critical thinking. Okay. One more. Before sitting together, let's sit here. Okay. This is not to be the same. Come here. Come here. Happening here. Do you have a paper notebook? No, right? No one here has to. You have it? Okay, just get. You can do one for. No, because you're too tech now. Yes. Cold. Yes. But what happened? Why is it important from environment?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't hear you.
What happened here? Why is it important? This moment of the class. It's simple here. You don't need even to listen here. This one, just the image would go. What happened?
You are
Well,
sorry.
No, sir, you go.
You are restructuring the way that they are organized in the room so that they can work together, apparently, right? She was already pointing to his screen and everything. So you make room for group work, yeah?
Before sitting together, let's sit here. And moving them around. Go, Elizabeth.
Yeah, just to continue with that, when in my presentation, when I said vary the activity and the dynamics, like this is one. And it's because it can, when you have like two classes, maybe like we have two 90-minute classes back to back. You gotta vary things. That's why like throw in a video, have a game of Kahoot, get out your paper and your pencil. Don't be afraid to go analog with them. Sometimes they just like, they don't realize it, but they need it. They need to be away from a screen. I have had them do, physical posters, right? Dudu, you did that recently as well, actual, not Canva. I mean, like, let's go back to, old school paper, bring in the markers, bring in the, colored pencils. You'll find there's a different kind of calm that comes over them. And you need to do that in order to balance the class and they don't get bored.
You are foreseeing it because they snap after that they in this class they had to have like posters. So that is going unplugged and giving this time for them to go. Even it's funny because when we visit, because I had a visit to Memorial Indígena here in Brasilia. And then I knew they wouldn't have anything to take notes and my phones. And I brought to the place notebooks and pencils. So when they got there, okay, do you have a notebook? No, I don't. I have it for you. And they had to go around taking notes using the old-fashioned notebook. Yes, okay. Just before I go on, there is a moment here about the activity, but we in U.S. history and also U.S. government, lots of reading. So vary the techniques that you use for reading because you're gonna read a lot, but if they just read, it's difficult. I like this one, okay? Here, what I do. When I have a big class, I make like 2 circles, okay? When I had like the 16 students, I have like one inside circle and one outside circle. Here we use the summary, a part of the summary. There is a different name in the new books, not summary, but there is a way that you can get it. And what they have to do here, I give them like, depending on the size of the paragraph, I give them 20 seconds or 30 seconds or even 10 seconds. And then I play. They have to read the paragraph, I stop. They have to talk to the person in front of them about the paragraph, and then they move. And then they have to change the pair. Here, as there are only 4, what I did, you have to talk to the person next to you, and then the person next to you, and after the person in front of you. The in front of you is nice because they have like 4 people talking, like crossing talking, yes? So that's a way of doing it, and it's a way that they develop the idea of summarizing and be able to have like the reading, speaking activity also through a reading, because they have a short time, they have to scan and scan a text. So you're also trying to scanning and scan, I forgot it. And then they have to come with their words, okay? They did that, we read after it, and by the end, I asked that for them. Let's see what you found here that is interesting. Together, you have to come up with 5 to 10 keywords of this section, and you write them in the note before it's done. 1 minute to come up with 5 keywords. 5 to 10 keywords. You can choose 5 to 10 to summarize this section. 1 minute. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. After reading, what did they have to do here? Could you listen?
Summarize?
Yes, and I use keywords. They had keywords I use a lot, okay, in this activity also here, but I ask them to come to keywords. Sometimes I divide them. You're going to see that the chapter might be long. You can divide the chapter, and then they come to the board. Each person writes 10 keywords, not more than that. We developed the idea of them being able to summarize and reflect about that and using keywords in this situation here, okay?
I I also
Yeah.
found it interesting because you gave them timing, because if you don't give them timing, they take forever to do like a very small task. So I think that like really it's really helpful.
Time is important here. In this group, I had only 4 students. It was easier for me to control timing. But when I had 16, 15 in the other groups, and then it was more difficult. And I use a lot of timer. Timing, that's it, Josie. We need timing, because otherwise it takes forever, especially because I work a lot with presentations, different forms to present. And sometimes to make a video, it takes like too long. And then they take, and we need, okay, come on. What is done, we have to have it done. And then that's it. You're going to see here, Miss Silvia already mentioned that, but going, plug in. That's it. So here I have lots of markers. I have coloring pencil, crayons, and that's going to be... So going unplugged helps, okay? And for example, this class was the one that was recorded. To be in the video, I have them like prepare the poster and then they present the next snap. But if I had more time, it was not just the recorded one, I would have given them a bit more time to prepare the poster, giving them time to cut, color, use that. Again, one mentioned that's a rapport. Yeah, that's not a waste of time. Sometimes you think that coloring or giving them time to work in groups, give them time to work to put this creativity. I have discovered amazing drawers, people that really draws well, students that they draw beautifully. And some of them they like it, some of them they don't. But that's why I explore. I had one and he was almost a cartoonist. And we worked with comics. I made them have like comics and they had to draw and use the comics. So going unplugged, sometimes you discover them, and you only discover if you let them do it, if you give them space to do it. And that's not I had a student that in the previous group that the group did all the hard work of going for knowledge and she was drawing. But okay, at that moment, for this part of it, it's okay. I believe that we are not 100% all the time, every day. We don't need to have our students 100% focus in everything every minute. We need this time of going and relax and enjoying it. We need the moment to be joyful. If they need to be like, that's stressing, okay? So it's going to be stressful for them. So we need to give this time and relax. That's not a waste of time, okay? Of course, you always balance. We're not like just putting a schedule there and then we go just for it. No, but fun moments are important, okay? Going unplugged. The other video, as we mentioned here, is just okay, just because they were here, everyone presents all the time, okay? Even when I had 16 students, we find room for them. As was a recorded class, I wanted to have like all the steps in the class, but I mainly do in my groups, as we have like today's, depending on your reality, I have like 90 minutes twice a week, okay? Like 3 hours twice a week, okay? So 2 classes of 90 minutes twice a week. Normally, they prepare something in the end of one class and they present in the beginning of the other class. That's a nice way to wrap up. It's a nice way to connect back because, you know, students, when they come to the next class, what did we study last class? I don't know. I had to be substituted because I was traveling. And then I said, what did you study last class? Oh, I don't remember. So giving them and making them present in the following class really helps. That's also a brain thing, yes, because you're giving the brain the opportunity to revisit what was seen. So that's important. I still have 15 minutes. I'm going to go over very fast on the other slides, not talking about just sharing, okay? But we have resources. Ms. Silver mentioned a lot. So enrich that, we can work of that. Bloom's taxonomy is important, okay? go for that, pay attention on the verbs. That helps us. The beginning, when I saw the first time, I said, that's too much. But working on that, like for the past 6 years, it really helps us to have our own feedback of how much we are pushing them, okay, and to make them produce and go into high order thinking skills. So vocabulary, working with vocabulary here. Many times matching definition, what I had here with the students, they had to match definition, they have to find. Sometimes I give the definition to one part of this class, the other has the word, they have to stand up and find it. So use this moment, go around, make them discover the new vocabulary, okay? So as you can see here, they match, they had to, the other one, they had fun. I love this, sticking the vocabulary on their back, and they have to mime each other, okay? So that's a way to introduce, to make the prior knowledge, because with the vocabulary, we build the class, okay? So many times I warm up with vocabulary, with something, using the vocabulary as a warm-up activity, and then we build knowledge upon that, okay? Playing, okay, that's a tic-tac-toe, so we play tic-tac-toe with vocabulary. Check if they like it, okay? This group loved it, so I had lots of fun of them miming, drawing. Use this moment. We are teaching history, we are teaching government, but they are still teenagers, so they need to enjoy it in a way, okay?
Excuse me. There are some chat, just to tell you.
Is that a question? Okay. Okay.
No, just
Okay.
okay.
Thank you. I like that. Build prior knowledge. I put a word on the board. My computer. Just 1 second. It's the battery. But I put a word on the board, and then they have to come up with other keywords. Okay. I'm just gonna get my charger.
Yes, while he does that, it's a word cloud. It's like Mentimeter, but like he said, unplugged. Bring them to the board. This is nice after a break, to kind of, maybe they had been moving around, but you kind of like wrangle them into an activity, they're physical, and then you have them at the board, and then you get them to sit down and go through the words one by one and connect them to the values and that sort of thing. Check spelling. I love to, when I do this, I love to check spelling, false cognates. It's great.
And here, and then we connected with the words that they had to do of the class, giving them this time to guess. Okay, so I have here information about 3 different aspects. It was like Native Americans, Africans, and Europeans, and then they had to match and find it and discuss. That's a moment for them to use language also to discuss and to find and to guess. Researching, okay? We have to use these, the tools we have today, okay? So they could find it, they had to find here. Okay, that's the vocabulary. Inventions. Here they had to Google, that's nice, because we worked from inventions from the 1800s, and then each of them had to choose one and to research a bit more, and then we went around and they had to present about the invention, okay? So, and then you link with the class, that was it. So we came up with many inventions, they Googled it, and then they go deep in one and then present, always presenting and different ways to present. I like stop motion. I have very funny videos using stop motion, but this group here now, they didn't like it. So I didn't use stop motion, okay? But this group loved it. So they cut, they built it, they had like the things drawing, and they represent the war. I have a snap here that let me show you.
Hey, I'm Dickinson.
Hey, I'm Nathan. Hey, I'm Washington.
Hey, I'm Jefferson.
Second Continental Congress of Philadelphia.
Diplomacy.
War! Go USA!
Go Britain!
Yes, we won! No more tyranny!
We are declaring independence.
The USA is free!
So see, going beyond just facts and numbers,
Hey, I'm
they
Dickinson.
they have the opportunity to explore their creativity. The same here.
British troops clashed with colonials near Boston in the Battle of Bunker Hill. The British took heavy losses.
Hoping for peace, Congress sent a plea to King George III. The king rejected it. More colonists began to favor independence.
Many were persuaded by the common sense. Thomas Jefferson was asked to write the colony's reasons for independence.
The many colonists who opposed independence called themselves loyalists. Supporters of independence were called patriots.
And recordings, and the other one's Adobe Spark. Recordings are excellent to make them produce, because when they're just presenting, they go there. But when they record, they have to record, they have to listen to themselves. And you can explore vocabulary and a lot. I love the Adobe Spark, okay? Let me show you very fast here.
When the English colonists arrived in the U.S. territory, they prioritized the South region because of the good weather to plant. South was mostly dominated by large plantations where people grew crops, not to own use but to sell. Planters were the
So that's, I'm gonna be fast because we need to. So that's simple, okay? You can work with them. The images are there, the icons are there. The Adobe Spark is amazing. It's Spark Video now because it has changed. Okay, Kahoots. Actually, Kahoots like old, but it still work. Okay, because I still have one from the last ones. As Miss Silver said, we work review or to introduce. Many times I play the Kahoot twice. I play before we study and after we study. So it's a nice way to revisit that. And they like it. They still like it, okay? I have many of them, and I could even share. Here it's nice because they wrote a text together, okay? And then presenting. They have to come here to present. I use Google Docs. They have to read and they have to produce the summary, but as a collective writing. So exploring in different ways, and then they had to go the front and present. I mentioned keywords. They had to come up with keywords, go the front and present. Yes. Here I had two people present to the large groups, so we don't need everyone presenting at the same time to everyone. I divided the class here, so we have 4 groups. One group is presenting to one group, the other group is presenting the other one, and then we invert. So you can have islands of presentations. You don't need everyone together, especially if you have like 20 students in class. So break it. Have islands of presentations, everyone presenting at the same time. Okay. I love this class, and it was very nice because even a student, she took a photo and then she posted on her Instagram, like saying, okay, thank you for this opportunity. They had a board, said the board is yours. That's the topic, and you can use the board any way you want. And so they had time to prepare, to draw. So it was a different way also to be unplugged, to use the board, to be there in the teacher, and then they taught, okay? They had a class. They decided how to do it as a group, okay? Not individually, everyone. That's Vietnam War. So they even drew the elaborate tunnels here. So it was an amazing opportunity. Posters, here's on the reforms. I liked working with this one that they had to use only images, so varying the ways. They could not use even a text. They had to use images and to represent what they were talking, okay? So they presented using images. The oral presentations, I loved here. They had, that's a role play. They have to prepare a play, okay? Here they are, it's the Montgomery, the one on the top, boycott. So she's Rosa Parks, and they had that, they created, they invented the scenario, so they had to role play something. They really have fun on that. Here's the gold machine that they had to get the gold. Here's a video, but it was amazing. I'm not gonna play the whole video.
In other way, I would expand to the west and conquer the lands near the Pacific Ocean. For this, I will call John Cobb. I'm here at your service.
Make our country go on. Guards! No, no! You can't do it! This is against me!
It's funny because they had fun on preparing that, and it works. Different ways of writing. This is a food, this website. It comes like you write there and it shows like it's a newspaper. You cannot be long, but you can work with headings and just a part of the summary of the beginning of the paragraph. And then it becomes as they are preparing a newspaper. So that one, okay. Here they had to write together and to present. I could use the tables as mind maps, having them the opportunity to create their own mind maps and prepare the mind maps to present. Writing together, sometimes I had them, one group prepared the questions and then the other group has to read and answer the questions. Google Docs work beautifully for that. Lots of things on Google Docs that you can work, collective writing, and also this of preparing questions to each other. Here it was very interesting when you work with the Constitution. Before going into the Constitution, they had to write the Constitution. So they wrote amendments, 5 topics that they want. Again, the critical thinking, they had to think about, okay, we had studied the US, we had come to this moment they wrote the Constitution. Okay, but if we're you, what would you write? So they had to write the Constitution and present about it. It was amazing. Okay, researching keywords. I'm gonna go reading. As I told you, choose circles, 20 seconds. You share the first one, and then you rotate. So you change the person you are talking to. Okay, you time them. Matching. This is a war, so they had names and they had descriptions. They had to match descriptions, working together. Lots of group work, okay? So divide, especially in history, you're gonna see that you have the modules and then you have 1, 2, 3. Each group reads one and then they share, okay? That's the point. We are teaching history, content is very important, but they don't need to know everything from the beginning to the end. So they need to understand what happens. So not just going beyond teaching history as just memorizing names and dates, okay? Having the idea of what happens and presenting, working on that. I'm coming to the end, I'm doing very fast. I love, I need to go back. This is one of my favorite speaking activities. I even did now only with 4 students. I use this as the beginning. I chose the images. What they have to do. One line is facing the board, the other line is facing back. The line that's facing the board has to describe the picture. So they have to say, okay, there is a man, this physically, okay, there is a man, there is blah, 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 blah. It's very nice because they get curious. When they look back, say, that's it, different from what they had imagined. And after each image, I talk about, and you can see in the bottom of the board, the keywords about that image. But we're working with language and content because the images are related to the content. But they had to describe. It's very fun. They get curious and they like looking it back. Debates, okay, working a lot with debates, having them time. It's very nice to put in the shoes, even with the point of view that you don't agree. I had one to be like when it was having the Civil War. They had one side had to be like pro-slavery, the other one had to be against slavery. And they even being pro-slavery, they had to find arguments to being pro-slavery. So you give this time for them to fill in different shoes and work real debate. I had like 2 minutes speaking, only speaking, and then 2 minutes replying, 30 seconds, diminish, and then they couldn't interrupt. So it was very nice to understand this debate area. And they had lots of fun. Okay, that was a big group. They had it. Feedback. Give them feedback, help them give feedback to each other. You can work with the feedback ladder. We can just go for the simple one. I liked, I have a question about, I wonder if. So you improve, you give them feedback, not only on language, but on everything. I present sometimes even to show them how to prepare slides, how to go for keywords, but most of the times they are presenting and I'm adding. So they are talking about a topic, and then I add information about this topic, or what they say about that's interesting, what you have just mentioned because of that. So we go together building it. Okay, that's the point. It's student-centered, not teacher-centered. You don't need to know everything. Let them, they do the hard work. Okay, and that's difficult for me. Okay, and I learned to be comfortable with the silent moment while they are doing something, reading and producing, because I'm very active. I like talking, and I've been there. We are teachers, yes, we do. So being comfortable of understanding that silence, it's not like that they're not doing it. Okay. That's it. The 3 hour, okay, different. So it's a long hour. We need to balance. We need to find different one. Work with the KWL chart, okay, content, cognition, communication, culture, okay. So mainly that's it. I don't want to take your time anymore. I showed he went to Museu da Memória Viva Candanga. That was even conducted because we don't have in Congress is in English, but the field trip here, it was in Portuguese, but then they had to build something, and we even built a community service after that because they built English content to the museum. Okay, so after the visit, you can use that. Use your field trip to build your community service. You can do that because after visiting the museum, there was nothing in English. They in their field, they prepare audio, they prepare the text about it, they translated texts, and they prepare English material used in the museum. Okay, that's just that I drive some ideas. Yes.
Just really quick, I know something that I've encountered about the field trips. Like I had 1 or 2 parents over the years that were like, oh, but the field trip was in Portuguese. And then it's like, oh, you know, senhora, yes, because we live in Brazil, right? Like, but we're doing intercultural comparisons. So we're, like I had said before, you're not only focusing on the United States, we have to value that which is in our community. And then from that experience, then it's translated and transferred into our context of our subject. Okay, so it's okay that it's in Portuguese. This does not break the rules. Okay, so sometimes there's some misunderstanding or misconception by parents that think that it has to be 100 English all the time. You know, that we have to be realistic. Okay.
So that's my last one, just to wrap up. Okay, I hope the session was useful. You can have like ideas. Feel free. I'm not going to read because we have mentioned all of them, but it's here. The material is going to be there. Feel free to reach me, to find me on Instagram, to send me a message. I used to post a bit more on Instagram, but now the only group I had this semester was this from history, and it was very nice to be in class. And I love teaching. I love this. I really see here an opportunity for us to go beyond, especially in history and government. It's going beyond what's seen in regular schools. They have an opportunity here to develop not only content or language, but we are building human beings, and I really see that, and we help them to develop. We are teenagers in a very important moment of their lives, being able to develop those reflective skills and everything related to content. So not only content, language, but life. So that was my message. Thank you. It was a pleasure being here again. Any comments, any questions, feel free.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dudu. Thanks, guys. Lots of information, but relax. It'll all start making sense. And trust your teaching skills. And outsource. Delegate to students. Let them do it. Okay.
So basically with this class, with the training, this is the end of the social studies training. Then we just have to like elaborate our portfolio and present it, or is it?
I don't,
more
you guys, you have to check your schedules. You got to check the timetable. Who's got the timetable handy? I was just Dudu and I were invited to do this session. I don't we don't have to do the other sessions.
I think these are the only sessions we have.
Juliana, do you know?
Let me check. I can tell you in the group, right?
Perfect.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
See you. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a good one. Good luck on the portfolios, okay? You'll be fine.